Well, hello there. Check, check, check. Is this thing on? I believe it is. Hey, friends. It's that wonderful time of night, wonderful time of week. It's the Sunday Nite Burn. And tonight you're on my DJ table right now. So I'm probably going to play a set. Oh, the plan is to play a set in a few minutes. Hey, what's up, Michelle? Good evening yourself. So, yeah. While we're waiting for a couple more people to jump on, let's do this. The Sunday Nite Burn is our weekly tradition. We soul anarchists, we get together for a couple minutes at the end of the week on a Sunday night, talk about a few things, discuss how it went. And it's a BYOB event, so bring your own beverage. I'm drinking, this is a yummy little cab, Marisu. It's nothing too fancy, but it's yummy. It's nice. And in the spirit of a fireside chat, we have to have something on fire. So let's light something on fire. It's my fire of choice lately. You could light a candle or some incense or maybe something else that makes you feel good. I'd be into that. All right. Cheers. Yeah, Michelle, I think I'm going to fire up a set after this if you're interested in hanging out. But it'll be on my other channel. It'll be over on Soul Anarchist Music. So I played a DJ set. I played a kind of an interesting party Friday night, and it left me a little unfulfilled. So I'm going to try to cleanse the palate tonight and have a little more fun playing. It was at this club downtown I've never been to before, and it was just kind of funky. Had potential. The sound system was trash all night long. It was just garbage. And this is something, Michelle, you'll get this, but like the mains were basically at kind of on the wall, kind of behind me. And the sub was underneath the stage, and it was really floppy, and it sounded like it had some delay on it. And the mains were really poorly powered, so they distorted really, really quickly. And so on stage in the DJ booth, it was just like pretty hard to hear what I was doing. No monitors. So I was completely in my headphones, and I had to have them cranked super hard to hear anything. And especially with that like really farty, like delayed weird bass thing going on, it was really tough to even hear my own bass mixing, in my headphones. So I think it went fine, but it just wasn't that fun. It was a little bit more of a battle, Like there were a couple moments that felt really good. Like there were a couple like grooves I fell into that just like felt super good, and but on the whole, yeah. Anyway, but that is how it goes when you are a performer of any kind. It's how it was playing in my band, how it was as a comedian doing my live show, everything. Like you win some, you lose some. And I think it's pretty close to 51-49 split, actually. Yeah, delays just, it makes it really, really hard to tell what you're doing and to do it well. It's super distracting. At best, it's super distracting. So anyway, I had an interesting conversation earlier this week that, and I won't even get into it other than to say, I realized that I don't really share enough about like deeply what I believe, what I stand for, what's important. And that in a lot of ways, I probably send us some incorrect mixed messages. And so I just want to share a couple thoughts tonight. And one of an old friend call her that, once described me as a closeted conservative. And well, she was being funny. She wasn't that far off. I definitely, when I consider my own values, they are definitely an interesting mix of classical liberalism and conservatism, kind of both. So, just a couple things. I'm just going to throw it out there. I'm kind of prepping to write this as a little bit of an essay too in my blog. So you get to hang out for that, and then we'll go play some music. So yeah, just in no particular order, a couple things that I believe and are important to me, despite how it may look. I believe that the fundamental building block of society is the family. I believe that almost every human failing can find its roots in a failure at home. And I believe that the ideal family scenario consists of children who are being mentored and parented and loved by a masculine being and a feminine being who are primarily in relationship with each other. And I believe that children benefit not just benefit, I think is essential to the mental health and proper development of children to watch the masculine and the feminine interface with each other, negotiate with each other, have differences and work them out in a healthy and loving way. I believe that is essential to society. Words matter. Words mean things. And when we get to a point where we start saying they don't mean things, we have got a very big problem on our hands. Words matter because we think in words. Our thoughts are essentially words. Words are representations for our thoughts. And so when an endeavor is undertaken to control speech, this is a mind control exercise. Speech control is mind control, and therefore I am a free speech absolutist. I believe you should not yell fire in a crowded theater. And outside of that, words are never violence. They just aren't. Violence is violence. We have to draw the line someplace, and I'm really comfortable doing it in the line between a sound that comes out of my face hole and my fist hitting your face. I think those are two really different things, and I think that's where the line gets to be drawn. I think a civil society should be built on that line in the sand. I believe that freedom is more noble than safety. I believe that it's a give and take relationship. The more safety you have, the less freedom you have. And personally, my preference is to err very heavily on the side of freedom. I'm a motorcyclist. And there are many other instances in my life where I've opted for freedom over safety. And that's my value system. And I invite more people to consider that. Creativity is a sacred pursuit. And I believe that all people are creative. I think that creativity being a sacred pursuit is a rabbit hole I could go down for an hour in and of itself. So for right now, I'll just say that I believe that there's something vital and human about creating something out of nothing, about being inventive, about expressing the unexpressed in any form. I believe that everyone is creative, whether you work in the medium of oil paints or dance or music or accounting spreadsheets or balance sheets or running a child daycare or whatever. If you have to solve problems during your day, you are a creative person. And I invite you to consider that you are a creative person and to dig into that and to drink from that a little more deeply and to have a deeper appreciation for your own creative process and to really sit with that. I also believe that in any given situation, there are multiple perspectives happening simultaneously that aren't related to each other, that are all equally legitimate. That's what this whole chaos sphere sign is about. Let me see if I've got one around here. I can. Oh shit! I don't know. Actually, I don't have one close by. That's weird. But you know what I'm talking about? That little ball with the spheres going through it. Maybe you can kind of. No, my laptop is so buckled down right now. I don't. Hold on. I'm going to show you on my phone for sure. I have it right here. Well, yeah, like on this T-shirt I'm wearing. You know, you've seen it. That's the chaos sphere, and that's what that represents. That sphere represents our common point of reference in space and time. It's that you and me are here in the same room at the same time, and yet these spears that intersect this ball are all coming in from different dimensions, different geometric planes, and they invite us to consider that at all times there are different perspectives that are all equally valid um, and deserve to be considered. Moving on. Rush is the greatest band in the history of greatness. We've covered this many times. We're social animals. It's encoded into our DNA to care about what the village thinks. It's okay. And part of the ethos of soul anarchy is striking that balance between that inborn need that we have to be part of our community, to be part of the village, to have good relations with the village, and also to understand that we are, again, there's something really important about being an individual that operates. It's important for me to be an individual to operate according to dictates of my own conscience and still to be in the community. Those seem like contradicting forces, but I don't think they need to be. I think we can be our own person and still be members of a community. It's tricky. That's the work. Electronic dance music. For me, electronic dance music creates a link between our ancient primal past of dancing around a fire to a steady drum beat and our current incarnation of living in the age of technology. For me, I think electronic dance music brings up something ancient and primal in us. You know, obviously, I love other music too that has nothing at all to do with dance music. Like, you know, Rush is the most non-dance music kind of thing you could ever imagine. I love that too. But, you know, when I went to Burning Man for the first time, and we all stood around the man, all 70,000 of us, while the man burned, and all these massive art cars around us, and the music was just pounding and pulsing through the desert. It was, I realized in that moment, like I kind of saw my back into my DNA in some kind of weird way. And I realized, oh, this is ancient. This is ancient. And we have been doing this for tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of years. And this is why we find resonance in it today, because it's still in us. I think it's beautiful. I think there's something inherently communal about electronic dance music. And that is one of the things I love about it. It's one of the things I hope to perpetuate with it too. So, contrast is a law of nature. Our differences are what make us beautiful. We should strive to celebrate our differences, not iron them out and not dilute them. One of the things I love about black and white photography is, for me, black and white. So Ansel Adams, the great, you know, the master landscape photographer, he taught something called the zone system, and that was a way for photographers to achieve beautiful results with their black and white film. And that's like in a nutshell. And part of that is having a very firm grasp on what part of your picture is in absolute black and what part is in absolute white. And when you can do that, when you have a firm definition of black and a firm definition of white, Now and only then are you free to play with all the many beautiful shades of gray in between that tell all the stories and have all the nuance. But for gray only exists because black and white exist. And so, like, we're in this time right now where, especially with all the kind of the gender stuff going on, people are, as a society, we're beginning to explore these in between spaces. I invite you to consider that, like a black and white photo, the in between spaces are beautiful, and they can only exist when there's a firm grasp on male and female, black and white, hot and cold. That's the only, like, every all the in between stuff is only exists as a function of the two poles. So polar, like, contrast and polarity are essential parts of our experience, and we need to honor those things. Okay, I do. I honor those things. Like, that's to me, black and white photography is almost like a sacrament. It's like a spiritual pursuit in in swimming in those spaces and considering where black is and where white is, and then playing with all the tones of gray in the middle to tell the story. I'm forever in love with black and white photography, and that's one of the reasons for it. There are many, but that's one of them. I think that curiosity is greater than correctness. I love curiosity in another person. It's beautiful, it's humble, it's fun. Humans are inherently worshipful creatures. We humans, for whatever reason, will always find a God. And if we're not worshiping the one that we learned about in the old book that our parents foisted upon us growing up in whatever church, as we get older, we may eschew that. But most people will find another God to worship, whether that be a celebrity, a social cause, a sports team, a political party, whatever. Most people will find something else to worship, and it's inevitable. We're built this way. Not sure why. I personally believe there is a state of evolution we can get to where we transcend that and don't need to worship something like that anymore. But maybe, I don't know. I'm personally, okay, like, bit of a tangent here. I've definitely been in that headspace where I've been like, hey, I'm kind of post worship, post this, post that. And in the past year or two, I've been doing a lot of filmmaking for my day job, and I've interviewed a lot of people. I've interviewed a lot of people of faith, and I found something really compelling and beautiful in many of these people of faith. There's a humility in them. There's something beautiful about the way they humbly acknowledge the existence of a power that is bigger than them, that they can possibly be in alignment with and learn from. There's just something really gorgeous about it. So I'm not saying that being worshipful is bad, but I am saying that we ought to acknowledge that it's just part of the human condition, and find some way to hold space for it. I have found that journaling taught me to tell myself the truth, and the truth set me free. But it does piss me off sometimes, to sort of loosely paraphrase Gloria Steinem. I believe that I went from being, a person of somewhat dogmatic faith, to being completely agnostic, to having some experiences that have led me to conclude that there's definitely something bigger going on. We aren't just a random carbon cycle. I don't know what we are, but I don't believe we just snuff out after death. I've seen a couple of things that to me feel like evidence that there is definitely a bigger picture thing happening. What it's called, how it works, no idea. I feel like we're fish, swimming around in the ether. We're like, fish have no real concept of water because they're just in it all the time. They live and die in it, and it's just their natural state of being. They have no sense of contrast until they get caught. And, then maybe, here's one for you. Maybe fish that get caught by catch and release fishermen, maybe they're the ones that achieve enlightenment because now they understand the difference between air and water, being in the water and out of the water. Maybe they become like Buddha fish and they go on to teach little schools of fish that there's something bigger out there than the pond that they're in. Maybe catch and release fishermen are doing the fish world a favor by bringing enlightenment to them, by providing them opportunities to transcend for just a moment. Anyway, that's all I got right now. Michelle, thanks for hanging out. Mystic Rhythms. Yes. I need to listen to that. Maybe I'll listen to that tonight when I'm done playing. All right, my friends. I'm going to sign off and finish setting up my DJ stuff. And I'm guessing in probably about a half an hour, probably right around 10 o'clock Mountain Time, I'll go live over on Soul Anarchist Music. So just pop over there and yeah, the fish's experience sounds like an alien abduction for sure. Yeah. maybe we're the aliens in the fish world. Cheers. I'll see you all on the other side. And I'm going to get ready to play. Love you all. Have a great night.